they used the output from ChatGPT to make DeepSeek better. And so they kind of got to shortcut a bunch of like pre-trained data and just use ChatGPT to like generate good data to train DeepSeek. So even though it only cost them $6 million, we're going to use air quotes here because there may or may not be 50,000 GPUs that may or may not be somewhere they're not supposed to be.
I had 3 different people without prompting, like, all ask me my thoughts on it and make sure that I was aware of it. It's very interesting to see it being like widespread like that and it not being just focused on people like really ingrained in the tech world.
I think the models are just going to become commodities, race to the bottom, whatever's the cheapest and the best is the one I'm going to use. And like the real winners are going to be people that have like application layers on top of that.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is going to be a pretty short one, just talking a little bit about stuff that's going on in the tech world this week. How you doing today, Walter?
It's been a good week, a little busier than I'd like, but things are moving and grooving here inside the mines, so that's really exciting. How about you, Kim? How are you this week?
Yeah, pretty good. Also a bit busy. Hopefully I don't sound too weird. I just am kind of getting over a cold. But yeah, been a good week. Excited for the weekend. Going to a cool show, seeing some homies. Excited for, I'm going to make some tomato soup with grilled cheese tonight, so very excited about that.
What's your like go-to grilled cheese recipe?
I don't have a go-to one. I'll plug a homie though. My buddy Chef Ron cooks wherever you're on social media. All of his recipes are great. He has a great grilled cheese. Allie really likes, my partner really likes like classic craft like cheese slices. I think I'm going to try to do it with that, and I have a ton of Parmesan and maybe like a third cheese because I think that doing multiple cheeses like really makes it fancy. And then I like to...
Do you do the mayo? Do you do the mayo hack?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like, I have a ton of tomatoes too. That's why I'm also doing tomato soup. So I also like to, cook tomato into it.
Yeah.
And this is my wild one too. I have a bunch of sauerkraut I've been trying to work my way through. Sauerkraut in a grilled cheese, it sounds weird, but the acidity and salt it adds to it is spectacular.
That's cool. We've got a new grilled cheese place here, actually. We went last night.
A grilled cheese place?
Yeah, we went last night. I had a ribeye and horseradish grilled cheese, which sounds weird, but was great.
That sounds...
It was not as cool as I thought it would be with the tomato bisque soup. So, would not recommend that, but by itself, it stood up by itself. It didn't need it. So.
That sounds really good. And at the risk of this becoming a cooking podcast, I'd make the argument that if you have meat on it, you've taken it from being a grilled cheese and now it's a melt. And that's good and that's valid. It's just, I just don't think it's a pure grilled cheese.
Yeah.
But
Angelica got a pure grilled cheese and it was much better. So, lessons learned.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like whenever you go to a place like restaurant or bar or whatever, like get the thing that it's known for, get the Mai Tai at the tiki bar,
right?
Or you go to a steakhouse, you don't order the chicken, you get
the steak.
Get the damn steak. Nice. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the stuff going on this week. We're recording this on the last day of January, so I expect the podcast to come out a few days after this. But kind of the big thing that's shaking up the tech space right now is the launch of DeepSeek. So everybody has thoughts on that, us included. I'll let you lead the way with this. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I think your takes and the stuff that you sent me on have been really interesting.
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing to see is that they used the output from ChatGPT to make DeepSeek better. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of got to shortcut a bunch of like pre-trained data and just use ChatGPT to like generate good data to train DeepSeek. So something, even though it only cost them $6 million, we're going to use air quotes here because there may or may not be 50,000 GPUs that may or may not be somewhere they're not supposed to be. So like in a world where you're using somebody else's model to train your model, you can kind of just use their model at whatever level it's at today and use that to get ahead, which I think is really smart. Is then you can, it's doing a lot of good for the end consumer, which is cool.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's really, really clever. I mean, OpenAI isn't happy about it, but they can get over it because they just hoovered up as much data as they could on the internet, curated it, and then now DeepSeek using it. They're like, oh no, that's our data. No ChatGPT, no OpenAI. That was not just your data. That was just your curation of it. And it's interesting because, and I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this, is they kind of took like a very open source model for it, like yes, in like releasing it open source, but also in their approach to it of like, okay, what are all of the tools available, and yeah, all of that sweet curated data from OpenAI was it one of those big tools.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like it being open source allows all of us to go and download it ourselves. Which I'd recommend you do, right? The terms of service there is like all of your data gets sent to the government, the Republic of China. So like, please don't go give it your social security number or anything. But hosting it locally is cool. It's the first one in a while. You can host like a slim version of it on your MacBook, which is great. Normally you'd need a GPU, but you can use any type of cores you can get your hands on for ML training, which is great. And I think it's going to help to redistribute a lot of the lower end models into the hands of like less like compute hungry developers, which is good. It helps to level the playing field.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very, very interesting. And with it being open source, I think there's a lot of pressure being put on American companies, OpenAI first and foremost among them. Because of it being open source, they're not gatekeeping it in the same way that OpenAI has done that. And so if OpenAI is going to use these subscription models, they're going to be charging for it. Then now they have a whole bunch of pressure to offer something that is truly better, so that they can continue to stand out.
Yeah, I think better is good. I don't think it's an interesting world to be in where it's like, hey, should I open source the thing that I've spent billions of dollars on for free? Or do I open source it? And that's the whole, like, is my app better than other people's app? Well, the answer between ChatGPT and all the others is no, it's not any better, right? It's like Claude is way better than ChatGPT in a lot of respects for like actual empathetic conversation where it tries to help you be better. And ChatGPT is just kind of lazy. So they really don't have like in some aspects they do, like O1 is really, really good, but R1 is just as good now. So I don't know that it's like, if they open source their code base, then they need to have like the new tasks or the operator. They just need to be so good to compete. Otherwise it's just not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so that's putting a lot of pressure on them, which I'm excited to see. Especially in a time where they're becoming more and more dominant. There are a lot of alternatives used for people that are like very ingrained in the tech world. But
sure.
To so many people, OpenAI is the one LLM. Rather, ChatGPT is. So seeing that pressure on them that'll be forcing them to continue to innovate and try to make it better. Especially with DeepSeek, this week it was the #1 downloaded app. So it's very much reaching, people who aren't as ingrained in this as us. I had, the day after it came out, I had 3 different people without prompting, like, all ask me my thoughts on it and make sure that I was aware of it and was looking into it. So yeah, it's very interesting to see it being like widespread like that, and it not being just focused on the people like really ingrained in the tech world.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's going to help a lot. Again, like, I think the models are just going to become commodities, race to the bottom. Whatever's the cheapest and the best is the one I'm going to use, and like the real winners are going to be people that have like application layers on top of that, which is a nice segue to talk about bespoke hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember you saying that. Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, let the big dogs play for, fight over what will be, the most efficient or the fastest or the best the best model. The likes of Merlin Mines. We don't have even the 6 million in funding that DeepSeek is saying they used for that. So for all these different small and medium sized companies, I 100% agree. Like the app layer is going to be where it's at for them. So yeah, let's follow through on that pivot. Talk about how this impacts Spellcarver or how Spellcarver is part of the importance of the app layer.
Yeah.
Look like.
So like tool calls are where we come in handy. So this week in our alpha, we released the ability to talk to Spellcarver, talk to the model, just like you would any other chat interface. The difference is you can actually use it to kind of like natural language enable different types of security features, right? So for a lot of my customers, they need like very standard like security scanning on their microservices. They need SAST report, which stands for static code analysis, something, and a bunch of other small like security features that are like industry best practice, like signed bill of materials and things like that, right? So like out of the box, when you use Spellcarver, you don't have any of those features enabled, and we don't expect you to know how to implement them, right? So you can just go and have a conversation with the AI and be like, hey, what security features are available to us? And it'll give you a list, and you can just talk to it and be like, I want to enable these 3 features, please. I want you to scan this, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, and it'll enable them for you. So it's almost like having a security assistant that can add those features to the pipeline. Super cool.
Yeah, that's incredible, and that's that becomes part of what we've talked about in past conversations of it, allowing small businesses and solopreneurs to do more with less. Because let's think about how big of a lift it would be for a very small business to hire a cybersecurity consultant and then to implement all of those tools and do it the right way. That would be a prohibitive investment for some companies.
Yeah, and normally like you would hire security engineers to do this, and then you would also have platform teams, and then you would also have developers that are building the application. And so when the developers like application is onboarded, these features are just available to you, right? They're just an extra bonus for using the platform, which is super cool. So things that we're thinking about adding in the future, which I think will be cool, is we're working through, so now that we have like security like minimum, we have our like 3 or 4 security features, we want to start writing agents that can kind of like grab niche tools that other developers need and start adding them to like the tool chain, so that when you need them, they're available to you, almost like a marketplace, which will be cool. So that as other agents and less agents, more tools. Like as more tools come online, like it'll be easier to add them to the pipelines and the services that Spellcarver offers. And then we're looking at adding other types of tools and utilities. So one of the things I've seen a lot and have had asked for is like complete application lifecycle delivery. So right now we just do like microservices. We deliver them, we secure them, and there's a big ask for like, hey, I'm migrating from my my computer on my desktop into AWS or GCP. I don't know anything about this. I would like to be able to hit like a cloud readiness button and have this turn my code into like cloud ready code. And so that's one of the features that will be coming to the platform by the end of next month.
Wow, excellent. Okay. Any other examples of tools that you're planning or excited to build? Like, do you have a specific roadmap for that, or are you more taking an approach of respond to your customers, respond to the market?
Right now, it's mostly like the customers we have some requests, and so anything that kind of like gives us improves the app, the AI app on top of the pipeline tool, the CI/CD tool, anything that gives us like a new niche inside of the app itself, right? So like application lifecycle is part of like that new delivery, so that's kind of huge. It opens up a lot of doors for us and it enables a lot of different types of customers. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards that. I was originally on the like, let's just like spray and pray and get as many features in here as we can, but I'm finding that like being selective about what we add and being thoughtful about who's getting access to what is more important right now.
Yeah, excellent. And that That's I think that'll be really exciting for your alpha and beta users to have the impact of what features is this going to ship with.
Sure.
In the position where if with that smaller group, their voice is going to go very far to impacting the platform they're using and to make it the platform that they really want and really need.
Absolutely.
And that'll then it'll speak to other businesses like that, and the earlier they're on, the more impact that they'll be able to have. And
and the goal with the like early adopters more than anything is like the agents we use right now are still very simple. They can do some cool stuff, but they're we're still in the like, hey, we're learning how to get these agents to use tool calls and to do fun things. But soon we're going to start having, so I'm working right now on a few different, we call them controllers. And what controllers do is they kind of listen for types of events that happen and then take action on those events. And so right now I'm working on a controller that can help facilitate things that happen with the pipelines, right? So if you enable security tooling or whatever, and like you're like, hey, I need these CVE reports emailed to my security officer whenever they're run, because he's not a developer and he doesn't know anything about how to check this. It's like, oh, cool. Well, the controller will see that. You can set that in your config, and it will actually email your security guys and let them know that that's done.
Very cool. Very cool.
So that's one of the examples. We're trying to, another one is if there's a big diff or a critical vulnerability or something, or a SASH report that comes back where it's hey, you've introduced this malfeasance that's going to put your application in a place where you could be open to denial of service attacks, or your supply chain's compromised. We want to be able to let people know as that's happening instead of being reactive to it. So we have controllers that we're working on to do that, which is pretty cool.
Excellent. Very cool stuff. It's cool seeing Spellcarver come closer and closer to what it's been envisioned as, and to see it continue to grow. You're talking about the app layer generally. The Spellcarver is obviously the example that we're most excited about. Any rumblings you're seeing in that space outside of Spellcarver that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I think the big thing I'm noticing, originally I wanted Spellcarver to be this and I was talking to my buddy at Google about this, to be this new Jenkins, right? My goal was to kill Jenkins by 2030, right? And now it's I'm noticing that the AI orchestration layer is going to be the next frontier. And so I'm looking at a lot of the open source tools that have integrations with AI, and a lot of them are young. They're very juvenile, right? It's you can make an open API call and it'll go do something, right? But Claude actually has started to add custom tool calls, right? So if you have a tool and you can expose its API, you can actually add it in the Anthropic API section to make that call when you call a certain agent, right? So if you do stock trading or anything like that, right, you can use it to kind of go get stock data if you've got an API it can hit and gather that data from. So things I'm looking at right now is how do we create simple tools that normal people can use, and tools like N8N, Zapier, or it's called Astropath is another one that people are using, which I think is cool. How can we make them accessible to normal people? And then that's almost like a paid API as a service, right? So custom app layer integrations for your custom workflows.
Yeah, I think that's very exciting. It's been neat to see how far Zapier's come in the past. I think I first used it probably about 7-8 years ago, and how far that's come.
Yeah.
And then with you, we were just looking at N8N, and I'm learning about it, and the fact that I can even use these without a development background just shows how far it's come to being user friendly, and
right,
and leveraging the power of this technology to make it more accessible and more versatile to more people.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before they get better, right? Some of the workflows I'm seeing right now is hey, what's trending right now on Instagram, for example, because that's not a marketplace that I spend a lot of time in. And it can go and you can filter on categories and get a feed of what's going on there, and then send that to a model that does video and make a video, and then send that to a video that does text overlay, and then send that to another one that does audio overlay, and then boom, you've got a reel about that that fun topic, right? Like it's becoming interesting to see how that's going to play out over time.
Yeah, absolutely. How it just connects all of those dots. Yeah,
Right.
The templates that you're seeing there are really, really interesting. I think you're talking about Instagram is a great example. For me, being able to use NAN for X or LinkedIn topic summaries, and what's trending, because I don't in my personal time hang out on those platforms very much, and being able to get those high level overviews. Is really cool, and saves me a lot of time.
Right.
Compared to doing it myself.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be really helpful for people that have small businesses that aren't great at like marketing, or aren't great at sales, or aren't great at whatever. Like, you're going to have the specialist that can help you figure out what that means in English and not in some like weird bespoke way, and then use that to build tools to help you do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Another sign of the era of the master generalist, right?
Yeah, I think so. Awesome. Well, we're getting close to time. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to discuss before we part ways today?
Nah. If anyone's made it this far, and you have thoughts on any of the stuff we talked about, the app layer, about DeepSeek, would love to hear what you have to think about it. Drop us a comment or a thought. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back next week.
Thanks so much. Talk soon.